بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء وسيد المرسلين وحبيب إله العالمين أبي القاسم محمد وعلى آل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المنتجبين المنتخبين المظلومين الغرر الميامين سيما بقية الله في الأراضين وحجته على الخلائق أجمعين سيدنا وإمام زماننا وصاحب نعمتنا وولي أمرنا مهدي هذه الأمة وتعوز أهل الجنة الحجة بن الحسن العسكري فداه الله العالمين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Respected brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. The peace treaty that Imam Hassan alayhi salam partook with Muawiyah is a peace treaty that is not so widely discussed within our religion, and it is a peace treaty that needs a thorough analysis and in-depth examination. There is a narration from a renowned Shia scholar known as Ayatollah Khoy, who has been narrated in one of his books for saying that the importance of Hussein at Karbala is in par with the importance of Hassan at the peace treaty with Muawiyah. We know a lot about the Battle of Karbala, we know a lot about the importance of Hussein at Karbala, but unfortunately we do not know a lot about the treaty that Imam Hassan partook with Muawiyah. So inshallah we will discuss the importance of the treaty within 4 points. Number one, why did Imam Hassan sign a peace treaty with Muawiyah as opposed to going to war with him? Number two, what were the stipulations and conditions of the peace treaty that Imam Hassan partook? Number three, was the treaty of Hassan an oath of allegiance to Muawiyah? And finally, number four, did Muawiyah abide by the rules and the conditions of the treaty? Inshallah, we will discuss these 4 points within the lecture. To begin, the most common question that we have and an accusation that we have is they say that Hussein fought to save Islam, but what did Hassan do? Imam Hussein rising up against Yazid and partaking in the Battle of Karbala is a very important incident in the history of Islam. But what did Imam Hassan do? Was Hussein more braver than Hassan, or was Hussein's movement in history more reviving for the Islamic movement than the position and the movement of Imam Hassan? There is a hadith from Bibi Fatima Zahra salamullah alayha, in which she states that one day Imam Hassan approached me with writing that he wrote on, let's just say, a wooden piece. And he said, Mother, is my writing nice? Imam Hussein came and said, Mother, is my writing nice? She said, I can't decide between the two of you, for you both are the light of my eyes. Therefore, go ask your grandfather. Rasulullah said, I cannot decide between the both of you, go ask Imam Ali. Imam Ali says, I too cannot decide between the two of you, go ask your mother again. When they approached their mother, narrations tell us that Bibi Fatima broke the beads of her tasbih, which has 101 beads, and she placed them onto the floor, and she said, Hassan and Hussein, begin to pick up the beads. And when you both have 50, the one who gets the remainder piece, he will be, let's just say, he has the better handwriting. So Imam Hassan began to pick up the beads, and Imam Hussein too began to pick up the beads. When they both had 50, there was one left. Imam Hassan approached to pick it up, and Imam Hussein went to pick it up as well. And the narrations tell us that the Lord split the bead into two, and Imam Hassan took one, and Imam Hussein took the other. The moral of this hadith and the story is that Imam Hassan and Hussein are equal. Be it bravery, be it generosity, be it power, be it rising up for war or signing a peace treaty with their enemies, Imam Hassan and Imam Hussein are equal. So now let's discuss this treaty. To begin, what was the treaty mainly on? The treaty was mainly on the issue of Khilafah. In order for us to understand what is the Khilafah, we have to go to the death of Rasulullah. Every prophet, starting from Adam, going right down till Jesus Christ, peace be upon them all, left a successor. Nowhere in history is it narrated that any prophet, before passing away from this world, did not elect somebody to take their position. Moses elected Harun, Ibrahim elected Ismail, Adam too elected his son, Jesus elected somebody. Everybody left somebody in their place as a position of authority. The question arises, did Rasulullah elect anybody to take his position? We see in history the incident which is known as Ghadir Khum, is when the Prophet was returning from his final pilgrimage, and he approached an oasis known as Khum, to which Allah revealed a verse in the Quran in chapter 5, verse 67, in which the Lord said, Ya ayyuha Rasul, balligh ma unzila ilayka min rabbik, wa in lam taf'al fama ballaghta risalata. O Messenger, proclaim that message which has been revealed to you from your Lord, for if you do it not, you have not conveyed my message. Proof that this verse was revealed in Ghadir from Shia and Sunni tafsirs. If you look at Tafsir al-Kabir by Fakhruddin al-Razi, volume 2, page 49, if you look at Tafsir Dur al-Mansur by Jalaluddin al-Sayyuti, and if you look at Tafsir al-Mizan by Alamat al-Tabai, three of these tafsirs specifically say that this verse was revealed at the incident of Ghadir. The narrations tell us that Rasulullah gave a 3-hour sermon in which he said to fear Allah. He gave him the hadith of Thaqalain, the Quran and the Ahlul Bayt, and then the Prophet raised out his hand. And he said, Allahu mawlahi wa ana mawla al-mu'mineen. Allah is my master and I am the master of every believer. Man kuntu mawla fahadha aliyun mawla. If you take me as your master, then you must take Ali as your master after me. Allahumma wali man wala Ali wa adi man ada Ali. Oh God, love those who love Ali and show enmity towards those who show enmity towards Ali. The proof from Ahl Sunnah wal Jamaat tafseers and books that the Prophet said, Man kuntu mawla fahadha aliyun mawla, is Sunan Tirmidhi, volume 2, page 298, Sunan Ibn Majah, volume 1, page 12, Mustadrak al-Hakim, volume 2, page 129, and finally the Musnad of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, volume 1, page 84. So now, we see that Rasulullah was told to proclaim the message. Rasulullah then proclaimed that Ali is my successor. Then Allah revealed a verse in the Quran in chapter 5, verse 3, in which He said, Al-Yawma akmaltu lakum dinakum. وَأَتْمَمْتُ عَلَيْكُمْ نِعْمَتِي وَرَضِيتُ لَكُمُ الْإِسْلَامَ دِينًا. This day I have perfected for you your religion. I have completed my favor upon you, and I have chosen for you Islam as your religion. So now, narrations tell us that on the one hand, Allah said, O Muhammad, proclaim the message. So Muhammad said, Ali is to succeed me. Allah says, this day I have perfected for you your religion. So it's clear that Rasulullah, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him and his progeny, did elect Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi as his successor. Now this is obviously one incident. We look at Dawat al-Ashira, we look at Mubahila, we look at Hadith al-Qisa, we look at the Hadith of Manzila. We have many narrations within the Quran and the Hadith where Rasulullah explicitly said Ali is to succeed me. But because our topic is the treaty and not the Khilafah of Ali, we will end it here by saying that Rasulullah did elect Ali ibn Abi Talib as his successor. But unfortunately, the Caliphate was usurped from Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, even though it was his right, and he remained silent for 25 years while 3 people ascended his throne. The question that we Shias get is, they say that if Ali ibn Abi Talib was supposed to be the successor to Rasulullah, then why did he not fight against Abu Bakr, and why did he not take what was rightfully his? This question has been answered by Ali ibn Abi Talib himself. If you look at Nahj al-Balagha, Sermon 5, Imam Ali says regarding the Khilafah, he says, if I, Ali ibn Abi Talib, speak out concerning the Khilafah, the people would call me greedy towards power. But if I stayed quiet, they would say I was afraid of death. So here Imam Ali is stuck in a conundrum. He only has 2 options. He either fights up and takes what is his, or he remains silent. So he's been given 2 options. He says that if I fight, people will say I'm greedy towards power. But if I remain silent, they will say I was afraid of the Khalifas, or I was afraid of dying. So out of these 2 options, which one did Imam Ali establish? He established to remain silent. Why did he establish to remain silent? He himself has answered this in Nahj al-Balagha, Sermon 3, which is known as Khutbah al-Shaqshaqiyah. Imam Ali says, by Allah, the son of Abu Quhafa has dressed himself with my Khilafat. Imam Ali says the son of Abu Quhafa, meaning Abu Bakr, has dressed himself with the Khilafat. And he certainly knew that my position in relation to the Khilafat was the same as the position of the axis in relation to the handmill. Now Imam Ali says, but I found that endurance was wiser. So Imam Ali is in a situation where he had to fight, so he remained silent. And Imam Ali says, I personally felt that endurance in this situation is a wise option and a wise choice. So Imam Ali says, I adopted patience, although there was a pricking in the eye and a suffocation in the throat. So he's saying that even though I adopted silence, it was not easy for me. There was a suffocation in the throat and a pricking in the eye. Imam Ali says, I watched the plundering of my inheritance until the first one went away and handed the Khilafat over to Ibn al-Khattab himself. When the second one went his way of death, he put the matter of Khilafat in a group. Then Imam Ali says, and when the third one died, the people came to me and said, Oh Ali, will you be the Khalifa of the Muslims? And Imam Ali says, I took up the reins of government. So Rasulullah elected Ali. Ali did not get what was rightfully his. He remained silent for 25 years. He has explained in Nahj al-Balagha and Khutbah al-Shaqshaqiyah as to why he remained silent. So clearly Imam Ali's Khilafat was usurped from him. Now let's go on to the Khilafat of Imam Hassan. When did Imam Hassan's Khilafat begin? On the 19th of Ramadan, 40 AH, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib left his house and approached the mosque. As he approached the mosque, he read the congregational Fajr Salat. And upon the first rakat or the second rakat of his Fajr congregation, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib went in a state of prostration. As he got up from his state of prostration, narrations tell us that a person known as Ibn Muljim with a poisonous sword attacked Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib upon his head, severely injuring him. Now Imam Hassan's Khilafat began the moment his father was struck. One may ask why. The moment his father was struck, what was the first thing that Imam Hassan did? Imam Hassan and Hussein grabbed their father, removed him to the side, and then Imam Hassan led the congregational prayer. Him leading the congregational prayer was a sign from Hassan saying that my father is now injured and I am taking his place. in the prayer, which means if my father is to go the way of death, and if he is to die, I would succeed him and take the position of Khilafah from my father. And then unfortunately, on the 21st of Ramadan, Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib passed away, and narrations tell us that Jibreel said, "Tahaddamatullah arkan al-huda, qad qatalat Ali al-Murtaza." Faith and pillars of guidance have collapsed. Imam Ali is the pillar of faith and guidance. And Jibreel says, the day Imam Ali died, faith and pillar of guidance has collapsed. Qad qatalat Ali al-Murtaza. Ali al-Murtaza has passed away. Now the death of Imam Ali alayhi salam, upon his death, Imam Hassan ascended the throne. And he said to the people, after burying his father in the holy city of Najaf, he returned back to Kufa, he ascended the pulpit and he said, Ayyuhan nas, last night or today, a great personality of Allah has left you. But with his death, Islam still lives. He was the Khalifa of the Muslims, now he has passed away, I am the Khalifa of the Muslims. So Imam Hassan said, therefore give me your oath of allegiance. Now narrations tell us that out of all our Imams, from Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, going right down to Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, Imam Hassan is the only Imam who got so much allegiance, got so much power. With Imam Ali, narrations tell us that his Caliphate was usurped. With Imam Hussein, he went to battle. With Imam Zain al-Abidin, he was in prison. With Imam Bakr, right down to Imam Hujjat ibn Hassan al-Askari, Imam al-Mahdi, we see that they were all in prison. So Imam Hassan is the only person. Narrations tell us from Iraq, from Kufa, from Qazman, Samara, Baghdad, Najaf, Karbala, from Mecca, from Medina, from Iran, all these people approached Imam Hassan and gave him the oath of allegiance. Now Imam Hassan, the first act that he did as a Khalifa, he wrote a letter to Muawiyah. Because upon hearing of the death of Ali, Muawiyah said, as Ali has died, now I am the Khalifa. And the people of Syria began to give Muawiyah the oath of allegiance. When Imam Hassan realized that people were giving Muawiyah the oath of allegiance when he is not supposed to be a Khalifa, in Shahr Nahj al-Balagha, by a renowned Sunni scholar known as Ibn Abil Hadid, volume 4, page 12, Imam Ali says, O Muawiyah, you have unjustly taken the authority of Khilafah, which is my right and the right of my family. You have no known merit in religion. You are the son of the most hostile man of all of Quraysh towards the Prophet and his book. So the day Imam Ali died, Imam Hassan received the oath of allegiance. As he became the Khalifa, he did certain acts such as he increased the salary of the people in the army to motivate them to fight. For all the widows that were present who lost their husbands in battles, Imam Hassan increased their wages as well so they could live a peaceful life. In terms of orphans, he offered them shelter. In terms of the poor, he offered them food. In terms of the homeless, he offered them a house. So Imam Hassan did what his father did when he was the Khalifa. So Muawiyah's rules now are against Islam. And Muawiyah spread the behavior of the pagans during the time of Jahiliyyah. Therefore, the narrations tell us that it was necessary for Imam Hassan to wage a war against Muawiyah. So 1 year later, so Imam Ali died on the 40th AH, on the 41st AH after Hijri, Imam Hassan wrote a letter to Muawiyah, in which Imam Hassan said, O Muawiyah, I am rightfully Khalifa. I have rightfully succeeded my father. You have no right to become a Khalifa. Therefore, you should give me your oath of allegiance. And if you don't, we will go to war. So now Imam Hassan has made the initiative move by saying to Muawiyah that if you don't give me your oath of allegiance, we will go to war. Muawiyah then replied to Imam Hassan by saying, I will not give you my oath of allegiance. I am the rightful Khalifa. Therefore, if you want war, then war is what you will get. Upon this, Imam Hassan declared jihad, an open jihad. Imam Hassan began to gather his army. Muawiyah began to gather his army, and the battle was going to take place. Muawiyah from the city of Damascus came about 50 miles out of Damascus and gathered his camp there. Imam Hassan gathered his army and went to an area known as Nuqayla. When Imam Hassan arrived at Nuqayla, he told members of his army, why don't you guys proceed towards an area known as Muskan, and I will meet you there tomorrow. When this army reached Muskan, Muawiyah sent a few spies to the army of Muskan. And in the middle of the night, these spies came to the leaders of Imam Hassan's camp. And they said to their people, they said that we will offer you 1 million dirhams if you leave Hassan and you join us. They said, okay. These people converted over to the army of Muawiyah. Then those people that did not want it to be bribed, Muawiyah said, I'll give you one of my daughters in marriage if you leave the army of Imam Hassan. So certain people left the army of Imam Hassan. And the third tactic that Muawiyah used was he said that I will give you a position in Islam. I will make you the governor of certain cities so that you should leave the army of Hassan and you should join my army. So when Muawiyah was playing these tactics, trying to get people to leave Imam Hassan's camp, unfortunately this worked. And they say that 80% of Imam Hassan's army deserted him and joined the army of Muawiyah.